Well, if you're on Facebook now,
I'm never on Facebook.
well then, you know. But then I put them on YouTube and I put them online.
You're streaming it now?
Indeed I am. Yes. Well, you want to watch it on? You want to watch me on your phone while sitting here watching me? See how many seconds behind the live streaming it is.
Then he can turn it off if he wants.
Huh?
Then he can turn it off.
And then you can watch something else.
Right.
Look like it, though.
Okay. So, did Rabbi Goodman go? So next week, just to mark your card, we're going to have Rabbi Goodman. He did come up with a title, which I think was Cain and Abel, a Shatner story, which intrigued even me about what on earth is the connection. But I suppose you'll find out next week. It's going to be a sort of a hands-on shiur. He's going to bring in slides and stuff, so it will be, interesting when we learn about Shatners. So that's next Monday. There's nothing special on next Monday? No. No. Okay, so that's next week in Yitzhak Hashem. So that's something to look forward to. But tonight, you have me. So as I put on Facebook, is this the Interfaith Parsha?
Wednesday a week we have, what's his name, Wilder?
Gene Wilder, the actor?
This week, a couple of days.
A couple of days.
Yeah, we have Wednesday night, right.
Rabbi Wilder.
Oh, Rabbi Wilder, yes, Wednesday night we have. How many seconds behind am I? Oh, so I'm a good few seconds. Okay. This is like when people are being interviewed on the radio with their radio on and you hear the background.
I just got off, but you're streaming.
Okay, so this week's parsha is Bhaalotcha, another nice long parsha. As I put in the opening of my article that I started writing this week, it's a good job we read these parshas in the summer when we have a nice long Shabbos afternoon, because they certainly are very long, and the pesukim themselves are very long. You know, it's long, it's 136 pesukim, but the pesukim themselves are big, long pesukim. So there's a lot to talk about, backwards and forwards between various different stories this week. But we'll start off talking about the beginning of the Seder, about the menorah, Bhaalotcha, the mitzvah that every day you light the menorah, every day you put the 7 lights, so you have 3 on the right, 3 on the left. So those watching on Facebook will get the right way round because you're looking at me opposite because I went left, right, never mind. And then you have the middle one, El Mol Panei Menorah. So all the 3 on the either side have to face the middle. So the question is, why on earth is Bhaalotcha, the menorah, written straight after the laws or the telling us of the Chanukas HaMizbeach, the karbonos, the offerings that the 12 leaders of the tribes brought? All of a sudden we bring the Chanukas HaMizbeach. What's the connection between the 12 leaders bringing their offerings and the dinim of the menorah? So Rashi from the Medrash says, which was the only tribe that didn't make an offering in the 12 days? Levi. Because Ephraim and Manasseh, or from Yosef, are split into 2. So that's how you get 12. Levi didn't bring anything. And Aaron was worried. Oh, whoops. Maybe I'm no longer the golden boy. Maybe I'm a little bit out of it. Everyone else is bringing to inaugurate the Beis HaMikdash, inaugurate the Mizbeach. But look at me, my tribe, we're left out. Maybe I am being punished for the sin of the Egel. Which, if you remember my shiur, which you can look again on YouTube, when we spoke about Parshas Truma with the Beis HaMikdash, was it an original plan of the world, or was it a response to the sin of the golden calf? Remember, we spoke about that? Those of you who are here. So he was worried, maybe because I was the one who instigated the golden calf, and God ultimately forgave him, but maybe because of that, I can't get involved in the inauguration of the temple, and my tribe are suffering, and he was upset. So Hashem said, don't worry, you've got something bigger than them. You've got something that's even more important, even more special. What's that? That you get to light the menorah. Now it's a little bit strange, because who was doing the daily sacrifices even when all the princes and the tribes were offering the special inauguration offerings? Who would bring the Tomid, the morning sacrifice?
Moshe.
Aaron. Moshe did the 7 days before setting up, but after that was Aaron. He did everything. Who brought a special sacrifice every day? The Kohen Gadol, Aaron, had to bring a special offering. Who walked around in all the special vestments, the special clothes? Aaron. Yom Kippur, which we already knew about because Yom Kippur was already in Parshas Acharemos, which is a few weeks ago. So we already knew that. Who was the one who gets to go into the Holy of Holies, the special place, once a year? Who was that? Kohen Gadol, Aaron. So what's he getting upset for? number one. And number two, even if he is getting upset, why is this an answer? Don't worry, you're going to light the menorah every day. Why is that an answer to calm him down? So, there are a few answers, but one of the answers I saw is like this. Aaron was worried that yes, of course he got to do all these great stuff. He wasn't worried about that. But he was worried that he wouldn't have a connection to the inauguration, like we said, because he was worried about the sin of the egel. That's what he was worried about. Maybe, yes, of course I get to do all these offerings, and of course I get to wear everything and go in Yom Kippur to the Holy of Holies. But I don't have a connection to the inauguration. That's special. That's something that's deep-rooted in the whole of Jewish history, something that is so special. The inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash, bringing Hashem Shechina down to this world, that is something so special. That's what he was upset about missing out on. So why did this menorah placate him? So the Medrash says because Hashem was trying to tell him, Beis HaMikdash is not going to be around forever. So this Karbonos, this Mizbeach, this whole thing is eventually going to be gone. But what's going to be around forever? The menorah. Because when did the Chanukah story take place? The time of the second Beis HaMikdash. Okay, there's a few years, the 70 years between the two Beis HaMikdash. We'll forget about that for the moment. Just leave that out. But when did the Chanukah story happen? 100 and something years before the end of the second Beis HaMikdash. So when the second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, they were still lighting their Chanukah lights every single year. So that's what Hashem was telling him. You are going to take part in the menorah that will never be extinguished. The menorah will always be with the Jewish people. In fact, you can say a little bit more. Menorah is one of those things that people across the religious spectrum know about. Shavuos is one that people all forget, right? Pesach, everyone knows Pesach. Bris, everyone knows what a bris is. Chanukah. That's why I saw every day we left. It's sad, but it was actually quite funny. There was all these people trying to get into Glicks. And they were trying to wonder, why can't I get into Glicks? Last Sunday and Monday, we saw every time I left shul, there were people trying to get into Glicks, and they were saying to themselves, why is Glicks not open? Has it closed down? Have they been closed by the FDA? I said, actually, it's Shavuos. It's a Jewish holiday, and they're closed. They didn't know. Obviously, they're Jewish because they're coming to buy kosher food. They didn't know about Shavuos. Shavuos is it's 1 or 2 days, depending on where you live. And as my wife says, don't know about it. There's no real mitzvah to it, so people don't know about Shavuos. But everyone knows about Chanukah, oh yes, Chanukah, of course you get presents probably, and so on. So Hashem was telling him, you are going to have a connection. You are going to have something even more special than the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash. You are going to have something that lasts forever, that is eternal. As I say, we'll forget the 70 years between the two temples, but
it's a different menorah.
Correct, it's a different menorah, but it's the idea of lighting, it's the idea of the fire of Torah, the lighting of Torah that illuminates the darkness, that even when there's going to be dark times in Klal Yisrael, which unfortunately there have been many of, the menorah always lights the way. It's there to show us which way to go, and that's what Hashem was telling him. Don't worry, Aaron, you and the mitzvah that you are doing, that is going to be eternal, that's going to last forever. That's something that is going to continue going. Now, how many books of the Torah are there? Show of hands. How many books? 5?
21 or something.
Let's say the books of Moshe.
7.
You say 7?
Okay, yeah.
How many? 5. You're Chamisha Chumshei Torah, 5 books of the Torah. That's what you all think?
Maybe 4.
You say 4?
Maybe 1.
Maybe 1? So I'm going to explain tonight how Marty is correct, according to some opinions, and you're correct according to the other opinions. Just like with everything in Yiddishkeit. So, we're going to see how, according to some opinions in the Gemara, that there are indeed 7 books of the Torah. What am I referring to? So I asked you to get your Chumashim, so you can see this. If you turn to page 786, you'll see something very, very strange.
Yeah.
I got a couple of nuns.
Yeah, exactly. You will see what they like to term inverted nuns. Some of them are upside down, some of them are just backwards. You see these 2 inverted nuns, and then we take the Sefer Torah out. Vayehi binsoah ha'aron, we open the ark. Vayehi binsoah ha'aron, vayomer Moshe, Kom Hashem vayinusum vayafutzu oivecha, vayinusum esanecha mipanecha. We recognize that from when we take out the Torah. And then we put the Sefer Torah back. Uvanucha yomar, shuv Hashem ribu v'asaf Yisrael, which is what we say when we put the Sefer Torah back. So we have the 2 psukim that we quote when we bring the Sefer Torah out. And then again, we finish off with this inverted nun. So what on earth is all this inverted nuns about? Do you know anywhere else where we have inverted nuns? So I don't know if it's going to be in the Siddur. But in Tehillim Kuf Zayin 107, which is the one that talks about thanking Hashem, when a person gets sick and he gets better, he should say Psalm 107. That's where it talks about the 4 people who have to say Gomel. Comes from Psalm 107. And there are 7 inverted nuns. Let's see if they have them in the Siddur. Let's see if they print them in this Siddur. No, in this Siddur they are not here. They don't have the inverted nuns. But if you look in an official Chumash of some description, you will see there are 7 nuns in this Tehillah over here. So, we're not going to discuss why there are 7 nuns there. But we have these 2 nuns here. In fact, if you turn to page, hold on, the end of Parshas Noach, page 52, you should see another inverted nun. But some of you are wearing glasses. Some of you might be doubting your eyesight. But I cannot see it. Maybe you can. Can you see it?
No.
Page 52, the last word, B'charon, should have an inverted nun. Let's see it, Rashi. Is there translation of Rashi here? No. But the last Rashi here on the right, B'charon,
It says a nun hapucha.
B'nun hafucha, an inverted nun. But do you see it? No. Loi malach ad Avram chorin av shebe'olam. There was wrath in the world. So Rashi says there's another inverted nun. Fascinating. In our Sefer Torah, in our Chumashim, we don't have this inverted nun. There are many, many other examples through the Gemaras, through Midrashim, of different spellings of words, different dots on words, different things that we just do not have today. Which is why the Vilna Gaon, amongst others, says our Sefer Torah are not the same Sefer Torah as they had back then. The tradition, unfortunately, has been lost. Certain traditions have been lost throughout the millennia, throughout the various different exiles, and whilst the words are still the same, of course, we hope, the actual Sefer Torah themselves, which is why some people say, well, all our Sefer Torah are technically possible anyway, because they're not. You see, the Rashi. Rashi lived when? 1,000 years ago, in the 10th century, right?
1400.
No, he lived in he lived earlier, the 9, 10. He lived in the 10th century. So even in the 10th century, Rashi had this nun hafucha, he had this inverted nun. So even in 1,000 years since Rashi, we've lost this inverted nun. Okay, so there are a few things that are not quite as they seem. But everybody agrees we have these inverted nuns here. What on earth are they all about? So, there is a Gemara in Shabbos, 115b. Now, I keep trying to get myself to print these things out, but I'm all rushing around. It's a shame there's no photocopier in the actual shul building. So when I come, I can quickly make some copies. But anyway, so I'm constantly apologizing for not printing things out. But anyway, I'll read it out to you. Bottom of 115. So the Gemara is talking about on Shabbos that you can't save things from a fire, you can't take things out of your house, you can't take them, whatever. There are certain things you're allowed to save from a fire on Shabbos. You're allowed to take out into a street, whatever, because the rabbinic streets. I'm not going into the whole Gemara now. So the Gemara says, what kind of Sefer Torah, what kind of holy scriptures can you take out and save from a fire? So the Gemara basically says anything which has 85 words on it, which is like vayehi binsoah here, has 85 words in it. So that's what the context of the Gemara is. So that's how it ends up here in Shabbos. So what does the Gemara say? Tana Rabbanon, vayehi binsoah oren vayomer Moshe, which is what we have here on page 786. Parasha zu asal HaKadosh Baruch Hu simyonos milamala ulamata. Hashem made marks, distinguished marks, at the beginning and at the end. Now our custom seems to be these inverted nuns, but that again is a serious debate as to what actually these simyonos, these marks, it looks like brackets. What do you call them in this country? Parentheses. Thank you. They look like parentheses, So, that's why, there's many reasons, but I'm going to tell you why nun was chosen. But anyway, they made these special indicating marks. Why? Oh, we have to turn a few pages. Yes. Loma, to tell you, she'ein zu makoma, that this place is not the real place where this pasuk was said. We'll come to that in a minute. So Rashi says, why? Because this is talking about vayehi binsoah oron, when the oron moved, and it should have been a few weeks ago in Parshas Mamidbar when we learned all the rules about the oron moving. which again is a serious debate, because if you look at it, this is just after he said, oh, let's leave. You know, he said to Moshe, V'anan bris Hashem nosea lifneihem, was going before them. So it is really right next to it. It does seem to be in the good place, which is why the next person in the Gemara says, wait, Lo ben Hashem, who's there? This is not the real reason, because it just said the Oro left, so it has got a connection. So what is the reason why we have these inverted nuns? That these 85 words, these two psukim, are a special, important book
Unto itself.
all by themselves. And that's why he says here, let's go further, it says it exactly clear. Kaman Ozla Had Amar Reb Shimon bar Reb Nachman or Reb Yonasan, Chatzuva Amudeho Shiva, that we have 7 branches of the Torah. Elu Shiva Sifrei Torah. These are the 7 books of the Torah, which fits in very, very well, because 7 is the magic number in Yiddishkeit. 7 days of the week is Shabbos. 7 weeks in the Sfiras HaOmer. 7 is 7 spheres of heaven. 7 is a very Jewish number, and that's why the Torah as well, 7 books of the Torah. So how many of you knew that we have 7 books of the Torah? In fact, the Rambam, Maimonides,
7 flames on the menorah.
7 flames, exactly, in the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash had 7 flames, exactly. 7 is the magic number in Yiddishkeit. So it's very interesting that the Rambam, he paskins that if you have a mistake, an error that would invalidate the Torah in, let's say, Sefer Bereshis. So he said you can't learn Sefer Bereshis, but you could learn Sefer Shemos, because it's technically like a different paragraph. Okay. And he says the same by this. If I have a mistake at the beginning of Bar Mitzvah before these nuns, I'm allowed to learn after these nuns, because it's considered a separate book of the Torah. So it's not just a little joke, oh, we have 2 little things here, we'll call it 7 books of the Torah. The Rambam actually uses this, the halacha, that there is a halachic difference that we have 7 books of the Torah. If there was only 5 books of the Torah, if I had a mistake in Parshas Korach, I couldn't read the whole book of Bamidbar. But according to this, if I have a mistake in Parshas Korach, I can read Bamidbar, Noso, and the beginning part of Bhaalotcha. So there is a halachic difference, not just a little joke. 7 books of the Torah. Fancy that. 7 books of the Torah. So then Gemara says again, according to the Pinjus, very nice. So it's a separate book of the Torah. But why are there these nuns, according to the other opinions, who don't say it's a separate book of the Torah? So, it says, Rabbi Gamaliel Omer, Asida Pasha Zusati, okay, Mikar v'tikto bin koma. This Pasha, when Mashiach comes, is going to move. The Torah is going to be moved. How we understand that, I'm not going into that now. He says the Torah is not going to be changed. It's not really changed, it's just reordering itself, you know. The order is changing, and it's going to be written in the right place. So why is it written? Why is it plonked here, if it's not in its place, that we have to have these 2 brackets in parentheses? To lahafsik bein puranios rishona le puranios shenia, to make a separation between the first set of punishments the Jews got, first tragedy, and the second tragedy. We'll see what these tragedies supposedly are in a minute. Puranios rishona, what is the first tragedy? Vayisu mehar Hashem. They moved and journeyed from the mountain of Hashem. So you're going to ask me, so what's about that? Why is that a problem? Here, if you look back on page 784. Sorry, page 786. The same page with the inverted nuns. Pasuk Lamed Gimel 33. Vayisu mehar Hashem derech shloshes yomim. They journeyed from the mountain of Hashem for 3 days. According to the Gemara, this is the first punishment, the first problem the Jews caused to Hashem. And what is the second problem? The people complained and wanted all this food. That's why I'm hoping, I like to have quail eggs this week, which you can get with a kosher Miami Hechsheron. And they're so small they come with instructions how to cook them. I'm hoping for a super duper kiddush, we're going to have all these things mentioned here. It mentions watermelons, it mentions, we remember the fish, the leeks, the onions, the shumim, the garlic. So maybe that's what we're going to have in this week's Kiddush. Hint, hint, hint. I don't know. But you look at the Pasha, that it says all these things that they wanted to have, right? I couldn't get kosher quails. I've looked for them, but you can get quail eggs, and you can buy them in public. So I like to have quail eggs this week, because it says on the instructions, cook them for 4 minutes. And they said, shake them in the pot to get rid of the peels. Anyway, it comes with instructions. It's hilarious. The eggs come, they're so small, no one knows what to do with them. They come with instructions. Anyway, So maybe that's a note for this week's Kiddush. We can have all these juicy, delicious things that it mentions. What?
Should have given me a few weeks advance notice.
Okay, well, at least you have a few days. Anyway, so that's the second thing. And what happened? Hashem came, Vativa ba of Eis Hashem, and he killed all these people. And then they killed even more people. And then we had even more problems. So the Gemara says Hashem wanted to make a distinction between all these punishments here. So the question now is, what is the punishment of Vayisu Mehar Hashem Derech Shloshes Yomim? That doesn't seem a bad thing. They journeyed, very nice. They left Har Sinai, and they moved on. That's what Hashem told them to do. We're going to Israel. So why is that considered, says the Gemara, a punishment? Why is that considered a puranios, a bad thing that the Jews did, that they had to split up this whole parsha? So says Rashi, hold on. No, Rashi doesn't say this. But if you look in the commentaries, which I did, it says like this. You'll never find the mountain of Hashem called Har Hashem, except for here. You'll call it Har Sinai, Har Chorev, Har Elokim, never called Har Hashem. So the Mefarshim explain, Vayisu Mehar Hashem is they wanted to journey from Hashem. Had enough. We've had enough of this. We spent a year, the Mefarshim say they spent a year in school. That's the expression the Mefarshim use. They spent a year by Mount Sinai learning, so they spent a year in school. They spent a year in the Beis HaShefer, they spent a year in school, learning all the halachas. They had enough. Vayisu Mehar Hashem, they wanted to journey away from Hashem. Had enough. We wanted to go away from Hashem, which is a terrible thing, the Jews. Ketinuk haberech mi Beis HaSefer, like a kid who runs out of school on the last day of school. Goodbye, get riddance, get lost. I'm so happy to leave. They should have left. I wish I could stay here, learning from Hashem, learning all this wonderful stuff. That's how they should have left. Like sukkahs, when it rains, and you leave the sukkah. So there's two ways of leaving the sukkah. Great, it's raining, I can go in, I don't have to eat, I can go in the air conditioning, I can relax on the couch, it's fantastic. Oh, this, I can't fulfill the mitzvah now. I really wish I could fulfill the mitzvah of sukkah, but what can I do? It's raining. When it's raining, there's no mitzvah to sit in the sukkah. So I have to leave. There's two ways to leave. And we advise to leave in the second way. Don't go excited. Great. Go inside. No. That's the same here. Shouldn't have left. We're leaving. We're getting rid of all these halachas. We're going. Great. It's excellent. That's what they did. And that was the problem. So Hashem said, I don't want to have all these punishments and all these difficulties grouped together. I'm going to invert it with this vayehi binsoah Aaron. So then the question is, okay, very nice. Hashem wanted to distinguish between the two punishments. So why did he choose these two pesukim? What is it about vayehi binsoah Aaron when the Aaron was moving? What is the connection between they wanted to run away from Hashem, they wanted to get away from him as fast as possible, that Hashem has to split it up with these two pesukim? So let's read the pesukim again. Vayehi binsoah Aaron, it was when the ark would journey. Vayomer Moshe would say, Kum Hashem, rise up Hashem, v'afutzu oyevecha, and let your enemies be scattered, v'yanusu mesanecha, and let those who hate you flee. Uvenucha yoyma, when it rested, what would he say? Shuva Hashem, Ruva Vayisal Yisrael, Hashem, please reside, relax amongst the myriads of Jews. So they say like this. Throughout Jewish history, since Matan Torah, since we left, we went downhill. You can't be there with Hashem all the time. We already served the Egel already then. It's not possible to be at the top all the time. As they say, the pendulum only swings one way. The further off it goes this way, the more it's going to swing that way. And that's what happens. They were so high, Matan Torah, and then they fell so much with the Egel and all these other problems they had. And that's what happens throughout life, throughout the Torah, throughout our existence as Yidden. We have enemies. This is when enemies came. We have two things. We have oyevecha, enemies. Those are enemies who want to kill us, of course. They hate us, they want to kill us, they want to anger with Hashem, they want to disprove everything and get rid of the Torah. Then you have mesanecha, you have haters. We all know people who actively hate the Torah, they hate Hashem, they have a hatred for it. Sinas, the Jews, people, anti-Semitism is a hatred. People hate the Jews. They hate the Torah, they hate Hashem. There's a real hatred. And sometimes that hatred could be worse. Because when you're an enemy is the stereotypical example they give, is an enemy comes out to fight you in person. I'm your enemy, I'm your sworn enemy, I'm going to fight you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to It's out in the open. You know what it is. You can plan. You can have your tactics. And somebody can win, somebody can lose. But when you have hatred is an internal thing sometimes that you don't know about. People can scheme. People can plot. You don't know. Behind the scenes. Without even realizing it. And before too long, they got rid of the Torah. They go, oh yes, we'll start these new movements. We'll start these new ways of doing Yiddishkeit that we've had throughout the last couple of 100 years. Yes, well, slowly but surely. You don't even know I'm your enemy. I hate you. I hate you. I hate what you stand for. I hate the Torah. I hate Hashem. I'm not your enemy. I'm going to weave my way in. I'm going to gain your confidence. I'm going to gain your friendship. And then I'll eat away from within. We all know that that's the two ways throughout history. The two challenges Yiddishkeit have faced. The open enemy, like Hitler, for example, who was very, and all those people throughout the ages. And then we have the Mesanechel, the haters, who are more under the radar, slip in, and try and, a little bit like the Hanukkah story. They didn't want to kill us in the Hanukkah story. They were quite happy for us to be alive. In fact, killing us was the easy option. I don't want all the Jews dead. It's worse. I want the Jews to be alive, but not be Jews. That's even more, To kill them, that's easy. That's no shtick. I kill them all. Very nice. But to make them change to be Jews and not to be Jews anymore, that's the difference between Oyevecha and Mesanechos. Hashem was trying to tell them, you're leaving. You're running away from me. You're leaving Har Sinai. This is what's going to happen. You're having enemies and haters. That's the way the world is. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you, I'm warning you. This is the consequences. If they hadn't sinned, if they hadn't done the Egel, or they hadn't even at this time they'd done the Egel. Right? They've done the Egel. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Now, they were still supposed to go to Israel in 3 days. Or a few days, or whatever, 11 days, whatever it was. They were supposed to go straight to Israel. And then things would have been totally different. Even now, after the Egel, they could still have salvaged life. And Yiddishkeit would have been totally different. Moshe Rabbeinu would have gone into Eretz Yisrael, because he hadn't done the sins yet. He would have conquered all the lands that they were supposed to conquer, because that's what caused all these problems. They didn't conquer. Hashem warned them, if you don't conquer all the lands I'm telling you, they're going to be thorns in your side forever. Which is one of the places that they didn't conquer, says the Chumash. Azal, Gaza. Still have problems there today. So you see the fulfillment of the puzzle. But if they'd gone in now when they should have done, they would have conquered all these places. Moshe Rabbeinu would have been there. Things would have been great. Yiddishkeit would have been totally different. But they chose not that approach. They chose to run off. Couldn't cope with Hashem. No, let's run away from Hashem. Then they had all these issues. The Meraglim, the spies, they spent 40 years. Then the incident with Moshe Rabbeinu. Yiddishkeit took a total different turn. They were at a crossroads when they left Har Sinai. And they chose the way, unfortunately, that was littered with thorns and thistles, and animals and bears, and so on and so forth. We could have been so different. So that's what Hashem is saying. You've chosen this way now. You ran off. You're going to get Oyevecha and Mesanecha. You're going to get haters, and you're going to get enemies. Of course, Moshe Rabbeinu was praying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now listen to what he says. Scatter your enemies. And let your haters flee from before you. He doesn't say eradicate your enemies. Doesn't say timche oyevecha, annul or obliterate your enemies, or timche mesanecha, obliterate your haters. No, scatter them. Don't let them form groups, because people are more dangerous in groups. You have different people gathered all over the world. I hate in Australia, and I hate here, and I hate there. Yes, but they can't do so much damage. Like this guy was arrested in California, going to terrible plots. He was a lone fellow, it seems. So that's the scattering of the enemies. If he had joined together with several people, it could be much worse. So that's interesting. Moshe Rabbeinu knew. It's too late. They're going to be haters. They're going to be enemies. So to daven that there will be no enemies, to daven the enemies will be destroyed, too late. We've missed that boat. It's a tefillah shov. Same way the Gemara says, if you come into a city and there's a burning fire, and you say, Hashem, please make that not be my house, it's a tefillah shov. It's a wasted prayer, useless prayer. Why? Because either it's in your house or it's not in your house. Because it's happened already. You could say, if it's not hit my house, please make it not affect my house. They say after 40 days of a woman's pregnancy, you can't daven for either sex, because apparently that's when it's already been formed and decided, so it's too late. But the first 40 days you can daven, I want a boy, I want a girl, whatever it is. But after that, too late, it's already been formed. A few other examples it gives of a tefillah shav. It's totally wasted and pointless because it's either happened or not. It's like people on Shabbos who don't want to know the sports scores because, they want to wait till after Shabbos. And then whilst they're watching the game and the things like davening, Hashem, please make them score now. Make them get this show. It's happened hours ago. So that's a tefillah shav, right? How many people here have done that when you're watching a game later? Come on, please. Too late. It's tefillah shav. It's happened. Either he did it or he didn't do it. Okay. So that's now too late. And Moshe Rabbeinu is realizing that. And that's the message he's imparting. It's too late now. We cannot eradicate these enemies, all these haters. So what did he daven? At least let them be scattered. Don't let them join forces. If you have one or two people here and there, it's bad. But if you have them all join together, come together with all their brains and skills and stuff, that's even worse. So that's why Moshe Rabbeinu daven. That's why this is placed here, to show us. You left. You vayisu me'ar Hashem. You journeyed from Hashem. Not Mehar Sinai, not Mehar Chayrev, not from all the other names it's called, the good names. Mehar Hashem. You journeyed from Hashem. You wanted to get away from Hashem? This is what's happened. This is what is caused. So that's why this parsha is put here to separate between the two punishments. Now the question that we've more or less answered with this is, it's a very strange thing. Because what happens after these nuns? Many, many terrible things, all in one go. First, they decided Hisavu Tava, Hashem kills them. Next, they want all these leaks and these salaries and Publix is closed, what they're going to do. So then that's the next thing, Hashem kills them. Straight away after that, they have all these 70 elders. Moshe Rabbeinu can't cope. I say it like that, but he needs the 70 elders, which is why I think every shul likes to have its 70 elders too. Everyone helping out, running the place. But next, what happens? Miriam, she speaks Lashon Hara, she gets smitten with Tzoraz. Straight after that, what happens? The Meraglim. They come back, terrible, and all of a sudden they're not going to Israel for 40 years. So you have all these punishments plunked in next to each other, and there's no gaps between any of them. So why is the Torah making such a huge thing? Oh, I don't want to have two punishments next to each other. I've got to split them up with these psukim. But yet, the rest of the Sefer is going on. Punishments. Right? Okay, we split it up before we get to Korach. At least we have some halachas of the libations, of the korbanos, of the sacrifices, before we get to Korach. Right? So at least we have a little bit of time between those. But we have 3 or 4 things plunked in next to each other. So why all of a sudden, the beginning, did Hashem decide, no, we can't have 2 punishments next to each other? So I didn't find an answer for this so far when I looked. So I think the answer is along the lines of what we've been saying. Hashem can't protect us from punishments. Hashem cannot protect us from the consequences. We made our choice, we made our bed, we have to lie in it. But he wanted to say, I wish it could have been different. I only hope that you'd done things differently and things could have been so different. And I don't want you to be in a situation where you have to have poronios, where you have to have tragedies and punishments and difficulties. I don't want that. So one time, at the very beginning, before we get into all this dark, murky stuff, one time he said, at least let me split it up. At least once to show you, I don't really want to do all this. I really wished it would have been different. I can't stop the next few parshas. Yes, it comes thick and fast and difficult and tragic. But at least let me show you once. And the first time is all because of me, Yisum Yahar Hashem. That one action of running out of school. This could have been a good lesson for teachers, the last day of school, to tell you before you start running off for your holidays, to remember this lesson. Maybe that's why some Jewish schools have not finished yet, and they're waiting for Bhaalotcha. I know in New York they've not finished. Maybe they're trying to wait to finish on this week, so the teachers can tell them this lesson before they all run out of school. But anyway, I think perhaps that's why this was chosen. Just all of a sudden to say, I wish it could have been different. I wish things had been done differently. It's all because you ran so quickly. You wanted to leave Hashem.
I have a problem with that. Real problem. Why were they trying to run away from Hashem? Surely one of the things was that they wanted to go to Israel. Wasn't that part of it?
So that is true. But their mindset was, got to get away from this Har Sinai business. That was the whole thing. You're right. Physically, Hashem, but the proof that wasn't the case was they complained that the journey was too much for them. Hashem said, I'm rushing you through, and they complained. That's the next thing. They complained, they complained that this was too much for them, that they couldn't cope with it. It was too fast. Well, shoes are hurting. We've got blisters everywhere. We've got heat stroke. Things are difficult. So therefore, that's another proof that, yes, that's what Hashem wanted, but they couldn't cope with it. They couldn't rationalize that enough to open their minds to that idea. And unfortunately, their mindset was, this is too much for us. Slow down. Let's enjoy it. That's Vayisum Hashem. They journeyed from Hashem. They were too much for them.
Isn't it possible that instead of it being split between two punishments, that it is a cause and effect?
Oh, so that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, it's exactly my point of what I'm trying to say. That when it talks about he's lahafsik bein puranius v'shodon lepuranishnu. Yes, exactly my point. That it's not so much to split out the punishments, but to show everybody this is the cause and effect. Yes, that's exactly the point I'm trying to raise.
Instead of saying that the journey was a punishment, and then the next one is a punishment, that the journey from Har Hashem was the Avera that created all of the rest of the punishments that come.
Right. Yes. That it did lead them because of this. Yes. That's exactly the point. Yes. Yes. Now you have. Yes. Yes. Definitely. Definitely. There's no question. That's what I'm trying to bring out. Yes. That's what I think. So let's just finish off. So why nuns? What's this idea of nun? So there are a few ideas. Nun is gematria. The numerical value of nun is 50. How many levels of holiness are there supposed to be? 50. We know with Shavuos, we go each day of the Omer, 49 days, and then the 50th day, Chamishim Yom, is when we're up to the 50th level. So this is what Hashem was trying to say. 50 is backwards. You could have had the 50 levels, you could have been fantastic, but no. You chose to go down, you ignored the 50 levels, so that's why Nun was chosen, not just because it looks like parentheses. I think maybe parentheses was chosen because it looks like the nuns from here, but who knows? Everything comes from the Torah, as they say, but that's what you tried to get these 50 levels. You had them at Har Sinai, you got rid of it. The Nun, the 50 levels are inverted. They're now the other way, you've gone backwards, you've lost them. That's one of the ideas why a Nun. Another idea is because apparently, I have not counted them, I take the Rambam's word for it. There are 50 paragraphs. In the Torah, a paragraph is either a samech or a mem. You can either have 9 letters, whatever it is, the gaps that you see. Apparently there are 50 parshios between where it should have been written in the beginning of Bamidbar, when they had all these flags, when it says about those flags, it should have said there, vayehi binsoah Aaron, vayom Moshe. Between there and here, apparently it's 50 paragraphs in the Torah, and Hashem is trying to say this is 50 paragraphs too late. It should be 50 paragraphs earlier. So that's another reason why nuns were chosen. But apparently, there are some people who say it shouldn't be a nun because a nun is a letter in the Torah, and you're not allowed to add extra letters in the Torah. That's why the Gemara never said that there were nuns or there were letters. What was the phrase the Gemara used? Marks. It said Simonim, marks, exactly. I mean, we know we have dots on various words. Dots. Last week we had dots on Moshe. We had, dots on certain letters. Certain letters are bigger than other letters. Certain letters are smaller. But it doesn't say that there's new letters here. And so we say, well, you can't start adding extra letters in the Torah. If you write an extra letter, an extra word, the Sefer Torah is possible. So some people say it shouldn't be letters. Some people say, well, that's why it's inverted. It's not really a letter. It looks like a nun. But it's not really a letter, which is why apparently some people had it upside down. But they said no, upside down is no good because that's really a letter just upside down. You read it wrong. If you do it backwards, it's not really a letter at all. It doesn't even look like a nun, and so on. So again, there is machlokes about whether that should be there, but that seems to be maybe it comes from this Rashi here at the beginning where we quoted the nun hafucha by the word choron. He uses this word nun, so you see that according to Rashi, certainly he says it's definitely nuns. These nuns. So when I said in my Facebook, is this an interfaith Shabbos because of the nuns? I didn't mean nuns as in the Christian women. I meant nuns as in a nun. But I used it as a flashy title to grab people in. But that's interesting here. A little bit of an explanation about this parasha and about these nuns. And also it ties in also to the beginning of the Sedra, Bhaalotcha with Aaron HaKohen was placated that he would have this menorah, because the menorah obviously now lights up the darkness. So we don't know where we're going, what we're supposed to do. So we have the menorah, the Torah is what lights our way, shows us the way to go. It shows us not to step on the thorns and the thistles and stuff. I remember my grandfather used to say that when he lived in Czechoslovakia, they used to have wolves come and attack them. So if they have these lanterns with these fires in them, the wolves would get scared of the fire and run back. So again, so you have the idea that the menorah, the fire, animals can be scared of it and are not going to attack. Animals obviously referring to the allegoric animals of the Yetzer Hara and so on and so forth. So I think we will leave it there, gentlemen.
Very good.
Thank you.
Right.
Good.
Isn't it the middle of the Torah as well?
No, the middle of the Torah is in Shemini, where we have the doros, the middle of the words, the middle of the letters and stuff. Yeah, no, that's a long while ago.
The letter Nun is missing an ashrei. Okay, in the Aleph.
Right, so the only letter's
And
not
also-
there.
Right, and isn't the other one that's also the Aleph bet also is missing? Which one is it?
In Ashrei, I think there's only one letter
Yeah,
missing.
it's missing there, right? But isn't it missing another part? Between them also, that goes by the Aleph bet?
Perhaps the
It's locked.
not sure.
Oh, you can get it.
I'm not
And
sure.
if so, who's the one who's connecting that?
Perhaps the